60 years this weekend since the great title triumph, Alex. What are your sort of memories of that? I'm just looking at the sort of little run up to it in the week before. Did you feel that maybe the chance had started to slip away from you with some of the results?
Well, yeah, that's going to Main Road on the 2nd of May was a daunting prospect. And we just hoped against hope, that we would survive. And I think our goalkeeper Adam Blackmore had one of the best games of his whole career that night. He won us the game, really. We changed our our game plan, and we went a little bit negative. And instead of, and earlier in the season we'd won a lot of games by a lot of goals.
Yes.
And we changed our tactics, and it didn't suit us. So we struggled a little bit. And I don't think we were thinking we were going to come away with anything from Main Road, but as I say, we did, and they really hammered us somewhat. But Adam was just unbelievable.
Tottenham and Wolves both won on the Saturday, didn't they, when you drew with Fulham? And they'd been...
Wolves manager was at the game.
Yes, so I believe Stan Cullis, yeah.
And I think he thought that, they were going to win, but obviously.
Who did you see as your biggest rivals during the season, Alex? Tottenham or Wolves, or both of them?
Well, both of them, because Wolves had been on that run since '57.
Yes.
I mean, they were a great side, and then Tottenham were coming through as well. And there was, I would say, they were the two biggest teams. Yeah.
And I mean, the funny thing was that you barely went top of the table all season, did you? I think briefly in August, for a few hours, perhaps you were top of the table, but never until it really mattered. That must be remarkable.
I'm sure you've seen the stats. We won with 55 points, which has never been done before or since, I don't think.
Yeah. And what was it like for you? Because you came into the side early in the season just as a boy, really. I mean, you were 18 years of age.
I was 18, yeah, and I just had my 19th birthday the week before we actually won at Main Road.
Yes.
And I was reserve, because there was no subs in those days, as you can, be before your time, but you were just reserved to travel.
Yes.
And I got into the team after 7 games, I think it was. My first game was against Tom Finney at Deepdale.
Not a bad way to start.
It was 14th of September 1959. And we lost 1-0 actually, but I was lucky enough to keep my place for the rest of the season. I
mean, you were obviously a top player, Alex, but what was it like being such a youngster chucked in at the deep end? I mean, Harry Potts obviously had a lot of faith in you, and you obviously took to it like a duck to water.
Well, I think the way Burnley was set up, I don't know the setup now at all, but in those days we had 5 teams, and all the teams were trained in the same way, right, coached in the same way. And at one stage in the week, the fullbacks and the wingers went together. So you've got international players and kids, and going through training motions and chatting about different things, so that if they were called upon, they would be able to get in there and do a job. And that was the way it was brought up. So if the fullback was injured, the fullback, instead of these days, because of the big squads, you can put anybody into any position, or just whiz them round. In those days, you put in the guy who was in the reserve team.
Yes.
To fill that position.
Yeah.
And because they knew all the throw-ins, free kicks, corners, everything, they knew the style of play, the cover on the centre backs and all the rest of it. It's a different game today, but it's. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they go on today regarding training.
Were you ever in awe of the players around about you in that side, Alex, or did you just treat them as teammates?
I used to walk down to the ground in the morning, and in those days they had a table tennis table, and we'd go down early to have a game of table tennis. And as soon as the first team players came in, no matter what stage of the game it was, we had to walk off.
Yes.
They on the table, and I thought, I want to be one of them. So, and then, as luck would have it, whenever I got in the first team, they decided to change the dressing room situation, and they took the table tennis table out.
Oh, yeah. But
yeah, I wanted to be that, and I remember one morning running. I actually ran up to the digs where I was in Stony Street, and Mrs. Hesketh, my landlady, said, "Whatever's the matter? What, you're sweating? You've been running?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "You'll never guess what happened to me this morning." He says, "What?" He says, "Colin MacDonald said good morning to me." And that was Colin was the England goalkeeper.
Yes.
And that was the way the kids reacted.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, but you were around some incredible players, obviously, at the club at that time. Yeah.
And obviously Jimmy McIlroy was there, and he was a childhood idol because he was from the same village that I came from.
But you obviously, as I say, you held your own in that team. You only missed one game for the rest of that season. So just going into that last week and going to Main Road, did you feel any nerves as a young man, knowing that if you won that game, Burnley would be champions?
It never even entered our heads, I don't think. It was just one of those things that we thought, well, we're going, and we went out to play football, tried to play football in every game, just took every game as it comes, and that was the way Harry Potts had us set up. That was his philosophy. Don't worry about things in the future, just play the game we're going to play.
It seems incredible in this day and age that you still had a game to play when everybody else had finished. Obviously,
well, the cup final was over and everything.
Yes,
it was a rearranged game.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I can't remember now. It's a long time ago.
Yeah. But at least you knew it was on that night. Winner takes all. What was the atmosphere like at Main Road? And there was a huge crowd there, even though they weren't playing for anything in many ways. I think about 65,000.
Oh, they were standing wherever they could get. It was an amazing night. It was a little bit special.
And what are your memories of the game? Because all the goals came in the first half, didn't they?
Yeah, the only thing I can remember that we were under the cosh a lot.
Yeah.
And and Dennis Law, I think he hit the post twice, and Adam stopped a couple of brilliant shots from him, and we were very fortunate to get away with it.
That's very modest of you, because Brian Pilkington and Trevor Meredith had scored, obviously, to let you lead 2-1 by half time. So you had all the second half to sort of hang on, and I presume as a defender, you had a lot to do.
Yeah, we did hang on, yeah. Absolutely. So it's one of the nights to remember, really.
Absolutely.
And then we came back we were at the town hall, and I think the whole of Burnley was out to see us coming back.
Yeah. Do you remember the final whistle, and do you remember being in the dressing room afterwards? I know times will be different. I'm sure you were very modest back then, and you probably just shook each other's hand. I don't know.
I think we were shell shocked that the realisation hadn't just set in that we'd done it. Obviously the chairman was very happy, and the manager, and it was just a blur, to be honest with you.
Yeah. The story goes, I think the story goes that you got on the bus heading back to Burnley, and the nearer you got to Burnley, that the streets became busier and busier. And I think Jimmy Robson said it, that you all set to just go home for the night, and then you suddenly, hang on, we better go back to the town hall, and the whole town was out to congratulate you.
It was claret and blue all over the place, which was nice. Yeah, it was incredible. But
I think I'm right in saying you didn't have the trophy that night, is that correct? Did that come later?
No, we got that later. I think that there was a presentation dinner, I think I can't. But it's never been done by us since, and I still regard Burnley as my team.
Which is really nice. And I know, as you say, it didn't sink in at the time. How long perhaps before it did sink in, and the enormity of it, and perhaps not until you retired and you thought, wait a minute, Burnley aren't going to do this every year?
It was special. We had a great run for a little town club, to finish first, fourth, second, and third in consecutive seasons was just an amazing thing. And then to get to Wembley as well in '62, which I still think we were robbed even today. We had great days.
Yes,
with great days, and I think in today's market and marketplace, what Burnley are doing is just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to compare eras, but in many ways, this team is comparable with that team in terms of being a competitive Premier League club in a different era.
Absolutely. Obviously, the players look bigger now.
Yes,
because of the fitness regimes that they go through. I mean, when I did go to the games, I mean, I've stopped going now for the last couple of years because I'm nearly blind. Do you know that?
I'd heard that you were having some issues with your eyes, Alex. Yes.
I'm nearly blind. So, but I say when I used to go there, the size of them, even the ones that look small on the pitch, are big. It's just amazing. We used to have a couple of days off in the week or go and have a game of golf, and we didn't go back every afternoon to train as I'm sure they do now. It's a different thing entirely.
Sadly, you're a dwindling band now, Alex. You're a great team of the 60s, but I presume you had a very, very special bond with a lot of those people for a long time.
Absolutely. I mean, when I do go back, I still see. Well, I haven't seen Andy for a little while because Andy's quite poorly.
Yeah.
And I didn't see Brian Pilkington because he moved away.
Yeah.
Still see Jimmy Robbo.
Yeah. He's doing okay, Jimmy. He's hanging in. He's doing okay.
He's hanging in, yeah. Danny keeps in touch with Rona and myself.
Yeah, that's nice, yeah.
About how he's going.
Yeah.
They all do. Carol lets us know about Andy, and Rita lets us know about Willie Irving.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we were a close knit community. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to babysit for the older players, and then later on when Rona and myself had kids, Brian O'Neill used to come up and babysit for us. So, and we used to go out of a weekend. There'd be 4 or 5 players, because obviously you couldn't go out on block.
No.
But we used to have 4 or 5 of us, and we used to go to the Cat's Whiskers and all the bit, and then go to the Ace of Spades in Whalley, and it was good.
Yeah, fantastic.
And Harry Potts was instrumental in all that went on, because he was, I've said this on many occasions, he was like a big brother to us.
Right.
And he got us into that, of being together.
Yes.
So that when we played on the park on a Saturday, we weren't going to let each other down if possible. We were going to be there to help everybody out. And that was his philosophy.
Yeah, and obviously worked well. Times are different now, and obviously players don't live so locally, etc. But I think the spirit of the club is, it's been up and down, but I think it's very strong at the moment, and I think these bunch of players are very, very close.
It'd be nice to think so.
Yeah.
I remember at one stage that they couldn't wait to get out of the town to get back to where they lived. But it's nice that Sean has got that philosophy running through the club again, and he obviously has. He's turned down offers to go to other places, which is great, and that builds on a good foundation. I always say I might upset some people, but you always make one mistake in your life, major, and my major one was leaving.
As you say, if we could do our time again, we'd do things slightly different, but I think.
Oh yeah,
but
I would never have left.
Yeah, you still gave great service to the club, Alex. There's no doubt about that.
Loved it. Loved the people in the town. It was just like when I moved as a kid from Northern Ireland. It was just like going to Northern Ireland again, because the people were so friendly. Unbelievable. And still are. We still have loads of friends in the Burnley area, and when we come over, we spend a lot of time with them. So yeah, I always look forward to it, and always will, as long as I'm here.
So you're 79 now, Alex. You just turned 79 last weekend. You mentioned your sight problems, but you look well. You sound great. So come this weekend and the day of the anniversary itself, will you have a little flashback to Main Road and those teammates?
Well, to be honest with you, I think they're talking about our lockdown finishing this weekend.
Yes.
So I might be able to have a far away drink with some friends here.
That would be nice. That would be nice. I think we'll tell everybody that you're living in southern eastern Spain now and have done for a while. It's been tough for Spain, but you've come through okay. You're all right out there.
Yeah, where we live, there's actually been in Almeria. I think there's only been about 6 cases. We've been very lucky. So yeah, I'll just show you. That's the Mediterranean.
Oh, that's nice, Alex. That is nice. I could have showed you the sunshine in Clitheroe, but it's stopped today. It's been beautiful, but I haven't quite got.
It's been lovely.
It has. I haven't quite got the same view as you, although it's still rather nice.
That's brilliant. Yeah. So.
But it's so lovely to speak to you, Alex, and looking well. And I know there'll be a lot of love from Burnley coming out to you. And that team, really, which has sort of been a benchmark for Burnley history. Although I know we spoke recently when Burnley got back into Europe, that was a nice thing also, wasn't it, to sort of have that link again?
That was great. It was so disappointing that they didn't make much progress, but it was a great achievement to get there.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe again.
Yeah.
It would be nice to think so.
It would be nice. Let's hope we can play some football soon. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nice to speak to you.
Lovely to talk to you.
Thanks, Alex.
To everybody there.
And to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.